with that said, if you're heading by MAGFest this coming weekend, stop on by and maybe, just maybe, you might be a part of that Sonic Advance Trilogy video.
Looks like I'm going to MAGFest. Dude, Johnny, I'm finally here. I'm at MAGFest. I knew you were doing a Sonic Advance video and you were gonna be here. I want to talk about these games. There's just so much to say.
Anthony! MAGFest is over. I'm tired. I'm going back home. Maybe next time.
Well, okay, wait. What do you mean next time? You're here and I want to talk about these 3 games.
Listen, I'm tired. I don't have time for this awkward back and forth between you two personalities. I want to go home. If you really want to do Sonic Advance with me, get your ass back home. We'll talk something out. Look at the camera for your awkward Smash introduction. And just be yourself. God knows I already got to deal with a few kids who already don't like the video because I'm not the only person in this video. Everybody gets wild. Okay, now we're getting into the stuff you guys are probably more familiar with. Indeed, these are the handheld Sonic games I play the most myself. Though being honest, my total playtime with the Sonic Advance series still pales in comparison to the Genesis games and even some 3D titles. Still, here we are.
Aw man, can I just say that 2001 was such a bizarre year for Sega and Nintendo fans. With the Sega Dreamcast going under, the fate of Sonic was left unknown.
But starting in December of that year and leading into the early part of next year, the once thought impossible happened.
Sonic made his debut on a Nintendo console with the much beloved Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on the GameCube. In fact, it's thanks to this that a lot of Nintendo kids out there were given their first slice of the attitude-filled Blue Hedgehog. And then, an original Sonic title was developed for the newly released Game Boy Advance, Sonic Advance, and the Advance moniker isn't just a marketing ploy. Just look at it. It's fast and frantic. Never have we seen Sonic and company move so fluently in a 2-dimensional space.
I don't know, they kind of look ugly as shit when moving up slopes or loops. Let me freeze frame that. Yeah, look at that.
Yuck. Okay, well, fair enough. It does look better in motion, which thankfully there is plenty of here.
Yeah, no doubt. It was pretty surreal playing a new 2D Sonic title on a Game Boy of all things.
Oh, and before we forget, do you want to talk about the N-Gage port of Sonic Advance?
The N-Gage port? What? No. Let me save you some time. This is Sonic Advance on the Game Boy. This is Sonic Advance on the N-Gage. See the problem? Good, let's move on. Now, I was just entering high school when Sonic Advance was making its rounds. I was sort of out of my platformer phase at this point. I was all about the RPGs. Then I saw a friend of mine playing the game on his Game Boy Advance during a road trip. I had to squint my eyes, the screen was so fucking dark. But I liked what I saw, I wanted to give it a shot. High school student though, money was a little tight. I first experienced Sonic Advance on an emulator, then finally got all 3 games for myself when the money was right. Sonic Advance was checking all my boxes, and I loved the new set of sprites everyone was rocking. A game that played like the Genesis games, but had the modern aesthetics of 3D Sonic, and unlike say Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1 or 2, this actually felt like a tried and true 2D Sonic game. There was momentum, I could do a badnik bounce, I could choose between multiple characters, from Sonic, Tails, or Knuckles, and even aiming was a playable choice this time. I don't think highly of her platforming abilities, seeing as she can't roll into a ball or spin dash, but her hammer is the ideal weapon for boss encounters.
I agree, but it really hurts that she can't, you know, just jump on enemies like everyone else can. Having to use her hammer to mitigate that felt like an unnecessary step to what's otherwise a platformer with simple mechanics. But hey, at least those that love Sonic, Tails, or Knuckles can relish in the fact that they all play exactly how they did in the Genesis games. Like Tails can fly, he can even use his tail swipe from Adventure 1, and Knuckles can glide and climb walls to locate alternate pathways and more hidden stuff. And Sonic Advance is certainly not lacking in terms of classic Sonic level design. There's optional pathways, alternate means to reach the end goal, and thanks to the blend of adventure elements, Advance can kinda take a different spin on things. There's grind rails for Sonic to take advantage of, and other types of gimmicks that'll have you bouncing all over the place, reaching its conclusion with an Eggman boss battle at the end of every zone.
To a lot of fans, myself included, Sonic Advance was the true Sonic the Hedgehog 4 that was just never called that. It didn't have everything from Sonic 3. For instance, the only elemental shield returning was the electric shield, but you couldn't even double jump with it. It was more like the adventure electric shield. I thought the game looked great, but I wasn't getting much from the music admittedly. Like even now, if you were to play me a track, I wouldn't recognize it unless it was the first stage, the boss battle music, or the special stage.
Oh boy, okay, we're going there now, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going there. Okay, I think Sonic Advance is great, but its downsides are like really fucking obnoxious downsides.
Okay, so where do you want to start?
The level design, more accurately towards the end of the game. You want to talk about good design mentality just falling off the face of the fucking earth, look no further than the trip through the egg rocket, the penultimate zone in the title. As much as I disliked Wing Fortress from Sonic 2, as much as I didn't like the anti-gravity of Death Egg Zone in Sonic 3, I have never been this bombarded with horrible enemy placement, more spikes than Mega Man 4, and bottomless pits, and you don't see most of this shit coming until it's already too late. It's severely punishing trial and error.
And I have to agree 100%. There's a lot here of what I would consider to be beginner's traps. Stuff that you learn to avoid after multiple playthroughs, but make your first experience an irritating slog. But again, that's more towards the end of the adventure at least, when things are, for the most part, expected to get more difficult, but Advance goes a little overboard, and the end result is a rather tiresome endgame.
And the special stages. What the fuck happened here?
Yep, I was waiting for this.
Seriously, man. So, as expected, there's a final zone that's only accessible by getting the Chaos Emeralds. But rather than giving the player multiple attempts within one stage to nab a Chaos Emerald, there's only one method of reaching a special stage within the current act, and it's in the form of the Special Spring, which more often than not, Sonic will have an awkward time trying to reach.
I don't know, man. The special stages aren't that bad.
I wasn't finished. Chaos Emeralds are also tied to a zone, so you can only get the red emerald in the first zone, the blue emerald in the second zone, etc, etc. And not every stage in the zone has a special spring. Sometimes they're limited to only once per zone. And I'm sorry if I'm coming off as a nostalgic curmudgeon, but Sonic 2 and 3 had it right with multiple checkpoints or multiple giant rings within one stage. It gave players the choice of making their own routes while still nabbing the emeralds at their leisure. Plus, getting the emeralds gave you Super Sonic to use whenever you wanted. Here, they only unlock the final zone, and that blows. And excuse me, did you just say the special stages aren't too bad?
Well, I don't know. I kind of like the idea of sky surfing for rings. It beats reusing the half pipe again, you gotta admit that.
Okay, yeah, it's not the half pipe, but my depth perception is absolute shit in these. It's a 2D game trying to replicate a 3D space. I think I'm on top of the rings, turns out I'm way fucking off. I can't deal with this. And again, all this work for one zone at the end of the game that you'll most likely finish faster than any of these special stages drag on for.
But I mean, besides all that, you would say Sonic Advance still holds up in terms of quality, right?
Yeah, I still think the core game is great, until the end of it anyway, where it just nosedives.
While rough around some edges, Sonic Advance still delivers on 2D Sonic action. It was a great way to introduce new players into the world of Sonic the Hedgehog. And though I'm not so sure if this really got anyone dusting off their old Sega Genesis to revisit some of Sonic's classics, Sonic Advance did well enough to make the Game Boy Advance Sonic's home in the handheld department. And 1 year later, fans were treated to Sonic Advance 2. All the familiar faces are here, but new to the lineup was Cream the Rabbit. Oh yeah, you thought Sonic Heroes was where she made her debut? No. Sonic Advance 2 has that game beaten by over a year.
And I should bring this up now, there's not much of a plot going on here for this and Sonic Advance 1. Eggman is up to no good, Sonic and company team up to slap him silly, lather, rinse, repeat until the finale. Cream's reasoning for joining our heroes is to help her mother, who I think Eggman has kidnapped? I'm not sure, like Cream mentions that her mother needs help, but we see nothing come out of that at the end of the game. But at the start of the true final zone, we see Eggman kidnap Cream's mom, so was she rescued and then kidnapped again in the same game? If so, fuck, move over Princess Elise.
Cream the Rabbit, I mean, what do you really say about her? She's pretty much a better Tails. She can fly for a bit, she packs in the speed, and she carries a weapon of mass destruction.
Say what?
Oh, sorry, I mean Cheese. Cheese, her Chow companion.
Oh, I thought you meant like a tactical nuke, I mean, Jesus.
Well, I mean, not entirely wrong. For Eggman, it might as well be, because Cheese just decimates boss fights. And to some, that's a great thing, because in Sonic Advance 2, almost every encounter with Eggman is like an auto-scroller, where you're constantly giving chase to the mad scientist.
You can't deny that there's an element of energy to these encounters. At the same time, it kind of makes the fights feel a little samey. You wait for an opening, then you hold right and hope you connect the hit, otherwise you get hit, fall backwards, and try again. And this boss right here in the ice zone is full of that shit. Oh, can I stand on these explosions too? No, of course not, because that'd be fucking stupid. And who's the genius that made this hand and sky cannon a one-hit kill?
But the constant movement is just one part of the major change of Sonic Advance 2. They've ramped up the speed tremendously this time, and this was at a time before the boost function was even a thing. By collecting rings and keeping the speed constant, Sonic and friends will enter a boost state, signified by the flashy after images. You move even faster, it looks cool as hell, It's honestly one of the most rewarding things about Advance 2, keeping the speed going. It kinda takes me back to that sense of flow that I enjoyed so much in the Genesis games. You didn't go this fast, mind you, but maintaining that constant movement was a reward for me playing well, and I really get that again with this game.
Speed has taken precedence over platforming this time. I mean, there's still platforming, but it's severely undermined by the constant speed. I agree that it's exhilarating, but it does sort of water down the level design to a degree. Like, what's the difference between Leaf Forest or something like Hot Crater? Odds are it's the graphic design and that's about it. But damn, I love me some Hot Crater. I may not have remembered much of Sonic Advance 1's soundtrack, but fuck me if it isn't the complete opposite here. I love Advance 2's soundtrack so much. I can listen to it for days, second only to another series of fast-paced handheld games I'll cover next time. But to go back to the pace, no matter the character, the key element is fast, frantic, greasy fast speed, with attributes like character abilities. Taking a bit of a backseat, every character now has access to these stunt moves. Pressing the R trigger after bouncing off a spring or dash ramp will allow the player to make a fast dash in whatever direction they're holding down. It's the best way to reach other pathways without coming to a dead stop. Otherwise, you'll be relying on the more traditional techniques like Tails' flight or Knuckles' climbing ability for basic exploration, something Sonic Advance 2 clearly doesn't want you to do, and guess how they lock behind the Chaos Emeralds this time.
Chaos Emeralds aside, I love Sonic Advance 2. It's my favorite of the trilogy.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely, but I do have to agree that getting the Chaos Emeralds here is completely counterintuitive to how the entire game is primarily designed. Special stages this time around are accessed by collecting 7 special rings in each stage.
Jesus Christ, 7 of those sons of bitches.
Yeah, 7. And in a game where you're not encouraged at all to explore your surroundings, with it also being impossible to backtrack at all at many points. You are going to go through many hurdles and loops just for one attempt at a special stage.
And in all fairness, the special stages are a bit of a joke. These are some of the easiest I ever played in a Sonic game. The challenge was clearly just getting to this point, but that challenge is still pretty fucking horseshit. Going for the rings not only causes me to play the game in a way I don't think it was meant to be played, but it also forces me to limit my routes in a series where one of the best things about it was the expansive level design. But now I have to memorize what's here or over there, to know when to take the top path, the bottom path, all that shit, just to get one part of a means to access a special stage at the end of the level. It's the fucking worst. I never go for the special rings in Sonic Advance 2. I just could not fucking care, and that's a damn shame because I think the true final boss with Super Sonic is great. It's the standard Super Sonic in space battle, but I love the design of the boss, and oh, this fucking music is so good! Like, I can never get enough of this moment when Sonic transforms. It just feels right. To waste all of my fucking time on those stupid special rings. It's so debilitating to see myself getting around 5 of them as I play the game as I normally do, and then the stage ends. Nope, you didn't explore the way we wanted to, try again. It bums me out, man, being unable to get the shiny MacGuffins I can get in Sonic 1, eventually Sonic 2, and Sonic 3.
Come on, man. You know that if you put your mind to it, you can get it done. Didn't you get all of the gold medals in Sonic 06?
Firstly, that was only with Sonic, and secondly, I'm a fucking idiot. This is different, man.
Hey, buddy, why are you sitting there sulking?
How's it going, man? How's it
Good,
going?
how are you, man?
I'm pretty good. It's just this game playing is... They want me to play the game a certain way while totally encouraging me to play another way, and I usually love getting all the collectibles in the game, and I can't do it, and I just feel really bad about myself.
Johnny, you love Sonic. As long as I've known you, you've always been about Sonic. And I know that you like playing Sonic games for no matter what kind of quality they are. And truth be told, you love being Super Sonic. So, I don't think you should give up, and as a completionist, you should keep going till the very end, my man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
So what's the Sonic game that you're playing?
Sonic Advance 2.
Good luck, buddy.
Personally, I love Sonic Advance 2. I love it as much as Advance 1, but for different reasons. It's clearly designed with a different form of challenge. Not so much completing the stage or what pathways you can find, but how well you can keep the speed going. This Sonic Advance 2 is consistent with, and I admire that. Yeah, I mean, the graphics are as good as before, and I mentioned how much I love the music again. Sonic Advance 2 is a different beast, but I still have fun with it. Chaos Emeralds notwithstanding.
It is still pretty guilty with its bottomless pits and spikes though. I don't think to the degree of Sonic Advance 1, at least it didn't feel like that anyway. but I could go back to this one, no problem, and just have fun blast processing my way through all of the zones with Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Cream, or even Amy. But you do have to get all the Chaos Emeralds with every character to unlock her this time.
What in the blue hell? The fuck that. Let's move on to Advance 3.
Ah yes, Sonic Advance 3, the last of the trilogy, released in 2004. And this one actually has a little more story. Dr. Eggman has managed to gather all of the Chaos Emeralds, and he uses the power to split the world into different zones.
What, like in Sonic Unleashed?
Something like that, only without the whole world shattering apart thing.
Ah, gotcha.
In addition to this, Eggman has built a new robot companion to help him conquer what remains of the planet. Gemerald, I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Let me jump in here real quick. Some of you are wondering if I will cover Sonic Battle before talking about Sonic Advance 3, as Sonic Battle is tied to Advance 3's plot. And I get that, but I don't think it's important to Advance 3 individually. I mean, you'd get that Gemerald, or Gemerald, however you call it, is a rebuilt Emerald from Sonic Battle, the robot that could evolve its techniques by observing other characters. But it's not like playing this before Advance 3 enhances anything. Advance 3 is only a little more story-driven than the other two Advance games. And playing Sonic Battle before Advance 3 makes the true ending more heartwarming, but that's it. Besides that, it's just another standard Stop Dr. Eggman plot, with Gemerald being no different than this week's Metal Sonic.
You know, this opening segment reminds me a lot of Sonic X, which was a thing at the time. Actually, Johnny, did you ever watch that?
Yeah, I did. Didn't really like it.
Well, convenient for you, I happen to have one of the Game Boy Advance video cartridges of Sonic X. You remember these things?
Holy shit, yeah. I'll pop one of those in.
Ah, a time before smartphones and streaming services.
It was a concept ahead of its time, but I'd rather just play a game on my Game Boy. Anyway, Sonic Advance 3?
Wait, hold on. Here's the part where Sonic says something funny.
If you can push it before I grab it.
Oh, for God's sake, start it off.
I like to think Sonic Advance 3 is the most ambitious of the Advance trilogy. Besides bringing back all the characters from the first two Advance games, there are now 3 acts to every zone as opposed to 2. The stages are a bit longer, so there's more to do and more to see. And perhaps the most defining aspect of it, the team up mechanic. In Advance 3, you are in control of 2 characters at all times, and though you only start out with Sonic and Tails at first, you will soon unlock the rest of the cast as you go along. With your partner, you can press and hold the R trigger to perform tag actions, depending on the partner that you choose. With Tails, it could be a super high jump that's great for exploring, or a major boost of speed with Sonic by your side. There's a lot of combinations to behold in Advance 3, giving it a healthy amount of replayability, which I am certain is something that you can appreciate, right, Johnny? I mean, it's not as fast as Sonic Advance 2, bringing platforming back as the main focus, and it does away with some of the more conventional Sonic tropes for the sake of freshness. For instance, the first zone isn't Green Hill version 3.0, but rather a city level, kinda like Sonic Adventure 2. And does anybody get vibes of Dynamite Headdy when going through Toy Kingdom? No? Just me? Yeah, of course. I think the new level tropes lead to some of the most interesting level design we've seen in a Sonic Advance game yet. What about you, Johnny?
Are you out of your fucking mind? This shit is the worst.
Wait, what?
Okay, I'll give you that the team up mechanic is a great idea, the best thing about this game bar none. But I hate that with certain combinations, individual abilities are affected as well. Like when Tails is paired up with Knuckles, Tails can't fly anymore by himself, he just does this awkward glide. And when Knuckles is paired with, say, Sonic, he can't glide or climb walls, he just does his headbutt attack that's pretty useless all things considered. I agree that with the right combination, the team attacks are fun to use. I love the super jump I get when paired with Tails, and Knuckles paired up with Tails is just fun to abuse. Sonic and Amy, love that combination too. But what does any of that mean with some of the worst level design I've ever seen in a Sonic game?
Whoa, okay.
Man, I'm not fucking kidding. This game wants to skewer you with spikes, get crushed all the fucking time, and have you run into some of the most horrible enemy formations I haven't seen since Mega Man in Base. And this is all within the first fucking zone. I don't give a shit if it's not Green Hill 3.0 or whatever. Route 99 is a horribly designed first zone of the game, and it doesn't get much better for me. You say the game brings back more platforming to the the mix, and that's true, but what did they do to the controls? The acceleration is through the fucking roof in this game. You go from 0 to 100 in less than a second, and shit like that means awkward timing and slipperiness on tiny platforms, which yes, this game has you do many times. And then there's this shit. Hub worlds in a 2D game. Why? When they had it down pat in the first 2 games. Is it because of these optional bonus games for lives? Sonic 3 handled that pretty well with the checkpoint system. Granted, hunting for the next stage is not the end of the world, it's just not needed. It's padding. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. It just humor me. How were the special stages handled in this game?
Well, I'm sure you noticed the chow that are sporadically placed in every stage.
Yeah?
Well, you have to collect all 10 chow in a zone.
Oh, fucking fantastic.
But not only that, you also need to collect the special key hidden in the zone after finding those chow.
Oh my god. And the special stages?
You simply fly in the tornado and collect rings.
Just no thank you.
To be fair, unlike the special rings in Sonic Advance 2, once you collect a chow, you have it for good. You don't have to get them all in one life, and once you have the special key, trying the special stage is as easy as jumping on this spring and going for it. If you fail, just jump on the spring again and give it another shot. I do agree that this system isn't very fun, but I do think it is an improvement over what Advance 2 offers.
Which I think would mean more if this level design wasn't so shit. This game doesn't believe in high ring counts, and some areas are completely blocked off unless you have a certain team combination, so that's pretty limiting. And the control, man, that's so important to me, and they managed to fuck that up. Fuck this, man. Fuck this fucking shit to fuck. What the? I didn't turn on sensor mode.
Yeah, that was me. You need to calm down a bit there, buddy.
Don't touch my audio effects.
Come on, man. Advance 3 isn't that bad.
Look, I know of a few that think of this as the best of the bunch, and I know there are plenty of you watching right now that probably love this game, and I hope you continue to enjoy it. I won't give you shit for liking something you honest to God find enjoyment from. That's not who I am, and never will be. But this game, team-up mechanics aside, is completely backwards from what we got from Advance 1 and Advance 2. This doesn't do it for me.
I'm willing to go a little easier on it. I still think Advance 2 is better, but like I said, Advance 3 was ambitious, and I just appreciate the attempt that was made. And not even for the reasons already discussed, I mean the boss fights too. These are some really cool designs that I think genuinely, not unintentionally, challenge the player to use their tag actions to the best of their knowledge. And come on now, who doesn't like the idea of Sonic and Eggman teaming up to stop the final boss at the end of the game?
I mean, Adventure 2 sort of did that already, so...
Oh, for God's sakes, can you be just a little bit nice to this game?
Well, I didn't really like it, so no. Advance 1 and 2 are way better.
Well, sure, but Advance 3 has the cool team-up mechanics.
So, I can actually play Advance 1 and 2.
I'm sure there are genuinely a lot of people that enjoy this game.
And I don't doubt that. But I bet you the number of Advance 1 and 2 fans outweigh the number of Advance 3 fans. In fact, we can find out right now. To MAGFest!
I'm sorry, what?
Before I began working on this video, I told everyone on my Twitter page that I'd be collecting opinions on the Sonic Advance Trilogy at this year's MAGFest, the Music and Gaming Festival, celebrating the Castlevania franchise this year, and though the only sort of Castlevania representation I saw was someone playing Castlevania 1 on a projection screen, the number of people that showed up to voice their opinion on the Sonic Advance series was a healthy amount.
To be honest, I didn't play 2, but I did play quite a bit of 1 and 3. I liked 1 a bit more. I think that because it didn't have gimmicks like the partner system, it stuck closer to what you expect out of a traditional Sonic side-scroller, and it mostly pulled that off well.
My favorite Sonic Advance game would have to be Sonic Advance 2. The sense of speed is amazing.
My favorite Sonic Advance game is probably the first one.
Be Sonic 2, Sonic Advance 2.
Sonic 2 on the Genesis.
Sonic Advance 1. Never travel without it. Sonic Advance.
American Express.
My favorite Sonic Advance has got to be Sonic Advance 3.
Sonic 2.
No, it has to be a Sonic Advance game.
Okay. Sonic Advance.
Sonic Advance 3. I love hub worlds. Like, I know that's like the opposite of one. I'd have to say that my favorite Sonic Advance game is the first one.
So I know a lot of Sonic fans have wanted SA3 for so many years now, but I mean, when we really think about it, SA3, the definitive version, came out in 2004. Sonic Advance 3 is definitely one of my favorites because you could play as, dynamic duos, Sonic and Tails, Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic and Amy, and yeah.
Amy and Amy.
Amy and Amy.
Chaos Emeralds.
In the Chaos Emeralds. My least favorite thing was the way Chaos Emeralds were handled.
The bonus stages in Advance 1 are hell.
Finding the Chow in Sonic Advance 3, that sucked.
A little bit of stuff I'll admit I don't like about Sonic Advance 3, mainly the Chow collecting.
The chow collecting in 3, but the special rings in 2
are a close second.
I hate chasing down the bosses in Sonic 2, or Sonic Advance 2.
I think that one egg rocket zone wasn't like that much fun.
Free. I just don't think, even though you could cheese some bosses with her, I'm like,
One thing I noticed was like the screen was like too small, and sometimes I would get hit by enemies that I just couldn't see.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Well, you know, I was really angry that it was on a Game Boy and not on a Sega system.
I remember really liking the music in Advance 1.
Sonic Advance 2's music playing.
I really liked the music. It was really bouncy.
I really liked a lot of the music, especially Sky Canyon, I believe it was.
Not just on gameplay, sprite animation. The art is phenomenal.
Hot Crater Zone from 2. That is an amazing stage, fantastic, awesome music.
Cream the Rabbit.
Knuckles. Just because you can pretty much cheat and just climb almost everywhere.
it doesn't even have to do with the game itself. It's more like when I got Sonic Mega Collection and I saw the trailer for Sonic Advance 2 on there, I watched that trailer every single day and I got so obsessed with Sonic Advance 2, and the day I finally got it was like the greatest day of my life.
Sonic 2 is better.
And there you have it. Seems more people tend to favor the first two games over the third one.
Johnny, come on. You could have manipulated that footage as far as the viewers are concerned.
Oh, fuck you, I'm not that petty. People like what they like. Who am I to silence that? Either way, doesn't change the fact that the Advance Trilogy was responsible for introducing the Sonic franchise to a lot of gamers out there, just like Adventure 2 Battle did for the GameCube.
They all have their qualities that set them apart from the others, and to some, that's what makes them good. These games really cover all the bases when you think about it. Like Johnny, you love the Genesis games, so Sonic Advance 1 hits that sweet spot for you. Those that think Sonic should be super fast have Sonic Advance 2 to look forward to. And those that love the multi-character dynamic and production values of the early 3D Sonic games have Sonic Advance 3.
Yeah, I forgot, this game has voice acting. It was the last game to use the likes of Ryan Drummond as Sonic, Scott Dreyer as Knuckles, Jennifer Dollard as Amy, and Dean Bristow as Dr. Eggman, who unfortunately passed away shortly after this game was released. In that essence, it's nostalgic. I'll give the game that. And this song you're hearing right now, the Sonic Advance 3 credits music, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
And there you go. I knew you could say something nice about this game.
I did say I enjoyed the team feature. I did say that, right?
Well, yeah, but now you said two good things.
Whatever. You think people will think worse of me after this video?
Hey man, you survived giving Sonic Adventure 2 a lashing years ago. If you got through that, I think you'll be just fine.
I just don't want people thinking I actually hate the blue fucker, you know?
Look, there are always going to be those fans that you simply cannot please, and you know what? Screw them. You are your own Sonic fan, and it's up to everyone else to think for themselves. If they can't, that's really just their problem.
The music works so well for this, doesn't it?
I was thinking the same exact thing. I kind of want to keep this motivational speech going just to hear the rest of it.
Well, we're out of time for it today, unfortunately, but Ant, thanks again for joining me for today's video. You want to give the people an idea of what it is you do?
Sure thing. Well, first off, I want to say it is an honor to be on this channel. I have been a fan of your work for years now. It's pretty crazy. And if you fans out there like my commentary and want to see more, well, check out my channel. I have a bunch of ROM hack videos, I'm talking about Kingdom Hearts, I have Kirby coming up really soon, and a lot more. Really all around, I'm just a big old goofball, so come check me out.
And with that said, we're doubling the amount of screens for the next video. I'll see you guys next time with the Sonic Rush Trilogy.
Wait, trilogy? There's Sonic Rush and Rush Adventure. What's the third one?
Sonic Colors? No, the DS game.
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot that was a thing.
Well, I hope that's not foreboding in any sense. I guess I'll find out next time. Thank you all for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care.